My name is Volker Grossman. We're going to be talking about graphical business rules management today. I want to do a quick introduction about what is business rules management about. So what are business rules? When we look at application development today, then there's the business people that need IT systems, there's the IT people that produce these systems, and there's always lots of rules that have to be implemented in these systems. These are known by the business people, they are under their control really, and they have to communicate these rules to the IT people so that they can put them into the systems. So what's the nature of rules? One of the characteristics of rules is that they change quite often. They change very frequently. They're very difficult to reconcile, so there's a lot of potential misunderstandings between business people and IT people when they're talking about the business logic that should be implemented. Because it's difficult to reconcile and there's a lot of misunderstandings, there's also the high risk that you're getting them wrong. So they're error prone. And there's always a problem that when you get the specifications from the business people that you feel that somehow these rules are incomplete, there are contradictions, there are redundancies in there. So there's a lot of things going wrong by transporting rules into the IT systems. And there's also the problem that in today's system, often these rules get hardwired in code somehow. And then whenever you want to change the rules later on, it's going to be expensive, it's going to be risky, it's going to take a lot of time. So business rules management tries to alleviate the pain there. So what we do with business rules management is that we really take out the rules from the applications, from the IT systems, and make them a separate entity. And so we separate them from the program code. We take them out. We do not hardwire them. There's no programming involved. We really leave them as rules, as a separate entity. We bring them in a form that is much easier to reconcile so that business and IT people can talk about these rules. And there's not that many misunderstandings happening. We also make sure that they are managed by both parties. So it's not handed over from the business to the IT people, but it's really an asset that is managed by both parties in cooperation. When we separate the rules from the program code, we also have the possibility to test them separately, which is also something that helps a lot by really having the rules separate and having separate testing capabilities. And whenever these rules are changed, we want to apply these changes automatically to the IT systems. So the best is to not have the IT people involved at all when there's a business rules change. And another potential advantage of taking out the rules is that you can reuse them within your enterprise. So the same rules could be applied in multiple applications. That is what business rules management is about, and that's what we do. So this is the tool we were talking about. It's called Visual Rules. It's an Eclipse-based graphical rule management tool, which allows you to model the rules with a graphical editor shown like here. We have navigators that allow you to organize these rules, and there's a lot of graphical editors included. There's also another representation very popular in the rules space, that is the decision tables. That's also in there. There's also graphical editors included for decision tables. These are very useful when you have just a few inputs, but many decisions on these inputs. Then you find this tabular form very useful. There's also built-in testing capabilities that allows you to produce unit tests for the rules, where you specify the inputs for rules, you specify the expected results, and then you can automatically apply these tests to the rules and reapply them whenever you do changes. And this is also used heavily by the business people who know best the test cases that they really need to set up for the rules. So with that, you can really enable the business people to not only author the rules, but also help authoring the tests. When it comes to rule management, then you always end up with a lot of management problems that have to do with versioning rules, because they change very often, much more often than you deploy software. Some of them change on a daily basis, and you need to have quite good management capabilities that allow you to browse through the history, to do compares, to really know who changed what rule, when, why, and what was the change exactly. So what we included into Eclipse here is a visual compare view that is integrated into Eclipse, so that when you're using some team provider working against CVS or Subversion, then you can do this kind of visual comparison of rules, but also of data structures and those things. Everything's visual, and that's why the product is called Visuals. There's also some visual representation helping you to manage a large number of rules, because it helps you visualize the dependencies and the organizational structure of your rules. It helps you to visualize which rules are using what other rules, and what the relations are between rule packages. And of course, you can produce a documentation out of your rule models. This is the HTML documentation that comes out of it, and it also includes the graphical representation. Some of you may know the business rules management space, and we are very happy to see that this technology based on Eclipse was put into the leader quadrant by Forrester, along with iLog, JRules, which probably some of you are familiar with, and Corticon. It's not so familiar here in Germany, but they're very familiar in the US. So even though it's an Eclipse-based technology and it's the target audience is business people, we were really rated as a very successful product in this space, and that is something to say also about the Eclipse platform. There are more things in that space when we're talking about rule management. You do not need to just have your authoring environment that allows you to change the rules, but you also need to have some kind of repository where you can put the rules, and possibly an execution environment where you can execute these rules. With visuals, those are optional components, so you don't really need them. You can work with the modeler alone. That basically produces Java code out of your rule models that you can just take and put anywhere you want. But there's also some infrastructure components that you can optionally use to web service enable the rules and to optimize and streamline the rule management process. This is an inside view of the Eclipse modeler, the graphical environment. This should give you an idea of what kind of Eclipse technologies we have been using there. So, of course, it's based on the Eclipse platform. We're using EMF a lot for the rule meta model. We've put on top of that all the editors. The graphical editors are based on the GEF framework. And then we also made use of other frameworks and APIs within the Eclipse platform. We're very much integrated into the Java development tools in terms of code generation and compilation and packaging, and also importing existing Java object models, which is something you can do. There's a tight integration into the team API, so we're working with any kind of repository, compare and merge capabilities. Executing testing, and there's also a visual debugger, which is working with the JDT capabilities and the Eclipse debugging framework. And we're also using BERT to do the kind of rule documentation export. So we were heavily using all these different technologies. We're bringing this to the next level right now by adding new capabilities to this whole framework so that we're not just doing rules but also apply these rules to not just business logic but also to user interface logic, data logic, and put that into a whole application platform so that we can create whole applications, dynamic applications, by applying rules in different areas of the application.